part 2 of Whining and Whining. Now we're drinking the red sangria. Cheers.
Cheers.
She just got choked. The wine is good.
The wine is very good.
It tastes really good. So, back to the ships that were wrecked. Here's another ship that was wrecked. Sticking with the vampire theme, Sookie and Eric. Because I feel like Sookie and Eric should have been together. Or really Sookie and anybody that we knew and not like blank slate ending.
Well, on True Blood, I kind of really wanted Sookie to end up with Alcide. Not in the books.
That's okay.
Totally different story. But in the show, I kind of thought that would be a good option for her because she wanted her normal life and she could have a normal-ish life with Alcide.
Yeah.
I liked him better in the show. Then the way they did the show, I think, made me want that more than what I did in the books.
Yeah.
I was Team Sam in the books. At the end. Now, here, the thing, that's one time I have jumped ship to a different ship. Was in the Sookie books.
Yeah.
Because I was Team Eric, and then I jumped ship to Team Sam towards the last couple of books. And the show, I was kind of like that too. Like I liked, obviously I went into it already having read the books.
Yeah.
So I liked Sam in the show, but the way that, I didn't really like the way that they did, I don't know, some of the characters had really weird stuff going on. But
yeah.
By the end of that, I don't know. I wasn't necessarily rooting for Sam like I did in the books on the show, but I liked Alcide more, and I was sad that he died. Also, he died. People keep dying. I definitely did not want her to end up with Bill. I thought kind of the way that show ended was weird anyway.
Yeah, it was.
That is not how the book ended, by the way.
No. Of course, the books kind of went off the rails and came back on the rails, and which technically is what True Blood did too. If you ask me, when the whole Vampire Authority season, that was like a complete detour.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, which I think we've talked about, having a book versus TV.
Yeah.
But in the show, her and Bill were always kind of, it's like they continued to have a thing.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in the books. After they broke up, they were pretty much done.
Yeah. No.
It was her and, then she dated a few people, but it was largely her and Eric.
Yeah.
For a while.
They were together for most of it and were even really technically married per vampire law.
Yeah. So it was quite different. So I understand her and Bill having them, I don't know. It was weird. The show ended weird, but yeah, I wanted her to end up with Alcide.
Yeah. Well, speaking of werewolves, or wolves, here's another couple that I wanted to end up together. Dyson and Bo from Lost Girl.
Yeah.
Because it's tough because Lauren she was good too, but I just never liked her as much as Dyson, and I know that, and honestly, I'm going to be real here. I think that is probably true across the board. I'm sure some people like them just because, but mostly because from the very beginning, Lauren was not a very likable character, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And then they slowly but surely brought in nuggets from Lauren's past that made her a much more likable character. And so I feel like that was to woo people to Team Lauren, which I know you and I've kind of talked about this before, that, obviously Lauren is a human and has a human lifespan, so it kind of led to be that maybe Bo could eventually still end up with Dyson, or that they could be together after Lauren died.
Yeah.
But, and it was tricky because Lauren and Bo did have a good relationship too, but I don't know, I just loved Bo and Dyson together. I thought they were a good match, and I just never liked Lauren as much.
Yeah, I'm like you. I never really liked Lauren. To me, she just wasn't likable of a character either.
Right.
So I felt like I couldn't root for her because I didn't really like her.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm with you. But the same thing, I had hope that maybe, they'd be together until Lauren died, and then eventually she'd be with Dyson. But
yeah.
Who knows?
Who does know?
Nobody knows. I don't know what I can relate to that.
You
But
don't have another succubus on your list?
oh, but okay, so this is kind of going back. I missed this one earlier. This is kind of a teen show. I always wanted Tamara and Roger to be together on Sister Sister.
Aw, yeah.
Because, Roger was always kind of crushing on both of them, but I feel like he was more into Tamara, and she was into not anyone but Roger.
Anybody but Roger.
But even after, they got older and they got their 2 boyfriends that they kept pretty much the whole time. But I still kind of hoping she'd change her mind and be with Roger.
Yeah.
He was so goofy, and of course it's kind of a similar thing as he's like this nice, goofy guy who always has a crush on her. Kind of like Freddie was with Carly, like it's that you just kind of want him to eventually be like, oh yeah. But that never happened. But it should have.
Yeah. And
similarly, on a show that I've watched a lot of it, but not the whole thing, was Blossom. And I always wanted Joey and Six to get together. Yeah. In all the episodes I ever watched, because she always had a crush on him. Same concept. She had a crush on Joey, and he was really dumb, bless his heart. And in one episode, I was really excited because he came to pick her up from this motel or something. And he came in, and they were sitting there, and they almost kissed and didn't. And then never did. And never got together, and the show ended, and I was really sad.
How rude.
And I guess it's kind of like, talking about Girl Meets World, Maya and Josh.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of them, and I guess it was similar in that she was a little bit younger than him. Yeah. Like, Maya was a little bit younger, so maybe eventually it would have.
Yeah.
But I wanted them to be together.
Yeah. Well, another couple, this is kind of a family show, even though it's not a teen show. It's Modern Family. I know a lot of people are for this ship, and that's Andy and Hayley.
Oh, yeah.
And I really loved Andy and Hayley. And I'm not mad that she ended up with Dylan, and I'm not nearly as mad as a lot of people on the internet are, because a lot of people are really upset about it, mostly because they look at it as basically Hayley's character arc was for nothing. And I don't really think that's true, because when Hayley was first with Dylan never quit being kind of dumb. But Dylan became a nurse, so he's got to be pretty smart. You can't become a nurse for nothing. And so I guess some of the people that are so mad that she ended up with Dylan are mad because of that reason. And I don't think that does Dylan justice, honestly, because he changed. I mean, it's not bad if you end up back with your first love if they've grown too and you're both now in a mature adult relationship, which is where I feel like basically they kind of got to. But I just always loved Andy and Hayley, and I thought they were such a good match, and they brought out the best in each other, and I guess Andy too was part of the segue to Hayley really getting her life together and really taking all of her steps forward and becoming the person that she ended up being. And so that's why I don't feel like because she did grow so much, and then she learned so much after she was without Andy, and she realized that she didn't, she just grew so much as a character. She got her own job. She made her own way in the world. She didn't need anybody else to help her. And so I don't think that getting back with Dylan diminished all that growth. She still had her job. She was still a great mother. She still did all of those things, but I still wanted her to be with Andy, especially when he was on the show. So
yeah. I don't watch that show yet. I want to someday.
Yet.
But I feel like I would agree with you.
Yeah.
If I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to talk about Grey's Anatomy?
Sure.
Okay, so here's one to start with. And this is here's one. Mark and Lexi.
Yep.
Who both died.
Both of them.
And they were sort of kind of together or like.
Yeah, that's one of those happily ever after situations because technically I feel like they were together when they died, but they died.
So they didn't really get their happily ever after.
Yeah.
Which was sad.
Yeah.
So they're one. But obviously, we were both upset about Derek because we stopped watching it.
Yes, we did.
And haven't watched it since.
No.
So anything that's happened since, I've only kind of heard about.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really speak to that. But Meredith and Derek should have ended up together.
Agreed. Yeah, that was... I get it. Maybe Patrick Dempsey's not the best person. Maybe he's not the easiest person to get along with. Okay, fine. And I understand that it's always hard when actors want to leave the show or move on or whatever. But I guess, I don't know, with a show like Grey's Anatomy, it's really hard because it would really be hard to keep Meredith on there and just not be in a relationship forever because they did that on ER. Now, I'm not an ER expert, but see, Ross and Carol, Doug and Carol were together. Doug Ross. That was George Clooney, by the way. He and Carol were together for a long time. And then they split up. And then they got back together. She got pregnant. Well, then anyway, of course, George Clooney left the show because George Clooney. So, but eventually, whenever Juliana Margulies left the show, she left to be with Doug. And really, when he left after the kids, it's like he wasn't on there, but they were still together long distance. And I know that would be, I guess, harder to pull off on a show like Grey's Anatomy. But basically, it all boils down to the fact that Shonda Rhimes and Patrick Dempsey didn't get along.
Mm.
And it just annoys me that she didn't even leave that door open to just have him leave and them not be together. It's like she killed him.
Yeah.
So
there couldn't have been something else.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. That just didn't. It also irritated me when Christina and Owen broke up because they were another one of those couples that I felt like brought out good aspects of each other, and then also they worked well together because, you know, there were PTSD situations they helped each other with, and I feel like they just really brought out the best in one another. And then, you know, to split them up, and then I I've heard he was with Amelia too, and I think now he's with Teddy, and I think at one point I did want him to be with Teddy, and that show's kind of one of those where you may change your allegiances. But I have heard that when Alex left the show, he left to go back to Izzy, and that's straight up annoying too.
Yeah, so it just seems, even at not watching it this whole time, it seems very strange. And I know that supposedly she had his babies or something.
Yeah.
But it was a very, very weird reason.
Yeah.
I thought.
Well, did you have any more on Grey's Anatomy?
Not that I can think of right off, but...
Because I have a segue of having babies on the sly. You know who should have ended up together? Jane and frickin' Michael. Another show we quit watching because they killed somebody we loved.
This one hurts.
We did then start watching it again.
Yeah, eventually we finished watching the show. But it was never the same, and even though it turns out Michael wasn't really dead, that really made me even more mad.
Yes.
Because I feel like this is being disrespecting the Michael fans. Because if he had, even though we were all ticked that he died, that the fact that they then brought him back just so she could choose Raphael over him.
Yeah.
Made me so ill. I'm like,
Yeah, it was a real slap in the face to the Jane and Michael fans to bring him back and then have him get his memories back and then her to still choose Raphael. And of course at that point too, and to be fair, at that point you can't help but be Team Raph because he was being a good dude, although there's no other team to be on at that point, by the way, but it's just a slap in the face to say, well, I guess you could have been for Team Wolf or Delco. But anyway, but at the same time, it's just such a jerk move, I feel like, to say, well, he's back, he's not dead, and then, oh, by the way, now he remembers that they were in love, and now still, no, bye.
It's like they just wanted her to be able to choose Raphael since she didn't the first time.
Yeah.
And it made me so ill. It made me so ill that he died in the first place because they were talking about starting a family and having kids of their own. And then he died. And then it was worse because then they immediately jumped 3 years into the future.
Yes.
And acted like we were just supposed to be cool with it. That's when we quit watching. When they're like 3 years later, I was like, screw you, and didn't watch it for months.
Yeah. We didn't watch it. I made a vow to not watch it until Michael was back on the show. Because it's a telenovela, so you think maybe he'll come back, you know? And he did come back in a flashback. This was before Michael came back officially, and that's when we started watching it again. But we did hold to that vow. But we were devastated.
Oh, I was so mad.
Yes.
When that happened.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a show that I'm presently mad about, and if you're not caught up, then... And I don't know if I'll watch it anymore. And that is Veronica Mars. Because, I was walking on the treadmill when I watched the episode where Logan died. And I thought, I had to cut the treadmill off and sit down because I was sobbing hysterically.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sobbing hysterically, but I was pretty ticked about it.
Yes.
I guess because, I was always for Team Logan when the original show was on.
Yeah.
And then they didn't end up together on Matt, which was very sad. But then they had the movie.
Yeah.
And they got back together, and it was all happy. And then they had the new show, and now they killed him. And I hate it when they give that excuse of, well, we just couldn't have her tied down because she's got to do all this stuff, kind of like the Meredith and Derek thing.
Yeah. Logan wasn't even there a lot of the time anyway because he was off doing his missions for the military and stuff. So that's where I just don't get it. I don't... And to me, as someone who has no experience writing television shows whatsoever, to me it's just like you couldn't figure out a single other way to leave them together or at least to leave him alive.
Yeah.
And I know some people had said, well, maybe he's not dead and yada yada, but if you've read any articles or interviews with anybody after the show, because I did, they all said he's dead.
Yeah. Boo!
Boo! It's terrible.
It was terrible. It made me mad.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like there are so many of these people on my list who have one or the other have died.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah.
So another one like that, we'll get into the One Tree Hill realm for a second. It's Keith and Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Keith is another character that was in love with Karen the whole time, and he was such a great guy. And she had been with Dan back in the day. She had, for some reason.
Right.
But of course now she wasn't. But Keith was always there for Lucas when Dan wouldn't be his dad. He was basically like Lucas's dad. And he always loved Karen. They finally got together. And then Dan freaking killed him. Let me just tell you, that episode is one of the best episodes of One Tree Hill. One of the most heartbreaking episodes of One Tree Hill. And everything else. But it's also one of the most irritating episodes of One Tree Hill. And it made me so mad because of that. Because at the very end, Dan kills Keith, and I was pissed.
Yeah.
Because him and Karen deserved their happily ever after. And then she got pregnant and had their daughter. And that was sad too. And then they jumped ahead into the future. I think after that year. I think that was their senior year maybe.
Yeah.
But I was mad about that. And also from One Tree Hill, I wanted Peyton and Jake to be together. I never really... I didn't like Peyton as much as some of the other characters, but I really liked her and Jake. I thought they were so cute together, and I liked how in that one episode that they told her to go see Pete from Fall Out Boy, and she ended up going to see Jake and his daughter. I just really love that, and I love them so much. And I don't know, I never liked her and Lucas, and I kind of wanted Brooke and Lucas to be together until. I mean, I wanted them to be together, but then I liked her and Julian once they got together at the end. So I was fine with the way her story ended. And I know, everybody was like, Peyton and Lucas belong together. But in my opinion, Peyton belonged with Jake.
Yes.
The end.
I'll say that too, even though I don't know. Well, another one that this is one of those happily ever after situations is Robin Hood and Regina on Once Upon a Time. Because guess what? Robin died. Why does everybody die? Why does everybody we love die?
Yeah, kill them all.
I have several on here that nobody died, but I do have a lot that did die.
Yeah.
Although we've been talking forever.
We might have to make this into a 2-part video.
2 parts. This is the middle, probably at this point, of part 2. But we just realized it.
Yeah. Hopefully this is part 2.
But it really irritated me, and I know that people are always all about Regina being a strong, independent woman, and I get that, and I'm all for that, but I'm also all for strong, independent women being able to be freaking in love with who they want to be in love with without them having to die to be a strong, independent woman.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't make you weak to be in love, which
No.
I think we've talked about before. I know we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Maybe we've talked about it on here, too. But it annoys me when they act like that. Like, if you fall in love, then somehow that makes you a weaker person and you have to, I don't know.
Yeah.
It made me mad when they killed Robin.
Yes. Yeah. And, similar in that same kind of vein of strong, independent women is probably one that we've been very furious about, and that is Brienne of Tarth and Jaime Lannister. What the hell?
No, that was one of the worst things that happened last year.
Yeah.
No, but the way that Jaime's character arc kind of went, was so irritating. That was the worst part of the final season to me.
Yeah.
That was the thing that made me the most irritated out of all the things that could have made me irritated about it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. See, whereas a lot of people, these are 2 really different character arcs to compare, but I don't feel like Hayley's character arc was an arc that went like this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she just went, kept kind of going. It's just she went a different direction.
Yeah.
But Jaime really had a character arc, which is unfortunate, because really nobody has a character arc. They should have a character continuum, because they should just keep getting better.
Yeah, instead of
but no.
going back down.
Jaime went back to his sister, for one, but she was a horrible person.
And it's like he finally escapes. He finally tells her, he's got to go. He's going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And then he just, goes right back to it.
Yeah.
Nothing else he's ever done matters. He'd rather go die with her.
Yeah.
In some very stupid, anticlimactic way.
Right.
I figured he was going to die. I was prepared for him to die. And I was pleasantly surprised when him and Brienne actually kissed.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think that was going to happen.
They full on hooked up.
Oh, yeah. I remember sitting there watching it, and Dave kept arguing with us about how he saw her as a friend or as a role model or something. And then they got in there and started kissing and whatever, and he said, oh, maybe I was wrong. And the rest of us were like, that's right, Dave.
Me and Mal were so excited. We were hugging each other. We were freaking out.
That was so exciting.
Yeah.
And
then they killed our souls.
He decided to leave.
Arya killed the Night King.
And ruined everything and made Brienne cry.
Yeah.
Screw you, Jaime Lannister. I'm glad you got hit by falling rocks.
Yes. But also, we're pissed.
Also, I wish...
Because we cared about you.
I really wish they'd ended up together.
But then, after that, she should have just ended up with Tormund. After he was such a jerkwad and went back to his stupid sister who was evil incarnate, she should have been with Tormund. We wish we'd have never shipped you, Jamie Lannister. They don't all in like you want them to. Hence this show.
Yeah, this whole entire us talking for 8 years.
Yes.
Yes, that one was really annoying. Let's see what I got left. Oddly enough, the two I have left are in a somewhat similar lane.
I have several left. Let me tell this one real quick, and then we'll go to you. This is one of those that's annoying, but not as annoying. I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but also death. But
wait, no, I have 3 left.
Glenn and Maggie. I got to thinking about them the other day when I was thinking about the whole happily ever after scenario. Because while Glenn and Maggie were together and were happy when Glenn was bashed in his skull with a baseball bat, they still didn't, then that kind of wrecked Maggie, which that I know people were really irritated about it and quit watching the show. But that's one of those deaths, though, that's not meaningless. So it's not as hard to be as upset. It's easier to be more cool with him dying, even though I'm obviously not cool with Glenn dying, but it's easier to see why they did it because there's logic behind it. That does, in fact, advance Maggie's story arc. Mm-hmm. And even though I feel like she would have gotten to where she is now, even if Glenn was alive, she could have done it with Glenn, but there was a reason for Glenn's death. Mm-hmm. And even it was horrible and everything, but there was a reason, and it didn't cripple Maggie, it didn't make, but Maggie was still strong the whole time, and it's fine to be weak. When somebody you love dies, if you're not weak in that moment or in that ensuing time frame, you're not human. Yeah. So, it's important that you mourn those people, but, some of these other deaths were just largely didn't need to happen to advance any storyline. Mm-mm. Glenn's really kind of did, unfortunately. And, while we were hoping that they were substituting Abraham for Glenn, which is also unfortunate, because I really kind of wanted Abraham and Sasha to get together more and be together more. Yeah. It does sort of serve the greater good of the show. It's just, and that I'm more okay with than just meaningless deaths.
Yeah. In the Walking Dead lane, as far as who should end up together, Daryl and Carol.
Yes.
Fight us on it.
Come fight us.
It ain't over yet, but it's seeming unlikely. Me and you and Yvette Nicole Brown.
Yes.
Bring it on.
Bring it. Team Care Dare. Mm-hmm. I know that's not what people call them, but that's what I call them. I'm sticking with it. And I do like Daryl and Connie, okay, but no. Daryl and Connie is at least better than Daryl and Beth.
You're right.
Because I know people called that ship Beryl, but we called it Death.
Yes, we did.
Poor Beth. Okay, look. R.I.P. Beth. But no.
Mm-hmm. No.
No.
But now, I don't know if this counts because it's not over, but who should be together is Rick and Michonne.
100%.
Since she's going off to look for him, there's supposed to be movies. Maybe she'll find him. Maybe they'll be happily ever after, and they should. If they're not,
boo.
They definitely should be.
Yeah, because we were so excited too when Rick and Michonne got together. Joy of Rick and Michonne will only be overshadowed when Carol and Daryl get together.
Yeah, because we were sitting here watching it, and they started kissing, and we were both like,
and then we were both going, rush on!
Couldn't believe it.
We were freaking out.
But we were excited.
Yes, as was Yvette Nicole Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Yvette Nicole Brown, we love you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if Care Dare is not Endgame, We've watched all this show for nothing.
It's all been for nothing.
It's all been for nothing.
The whole thing.
All of it.
Okay, so my two that are related, I do have three more. One I'm
Okay.
going to have a rant about. These other two are on a somewhat similar lane, and one of them is Benson and Stapler, which technically that show ain't over. But Stapler's not there and probably won't be, and they probably, even if he did come back, would never get together because I'm pretty sure she's like married and has kids and all kinds of nonsense now. I know I haven't watched it in a long time.
Wow. I think I heard rumors of a Stabler spinoff or something.
That's weird.
It is weird.
But I always wanted them to be together. And then,
Me too.
more importantly, Morgan and Garcia.
Yes.
Listen, I know that Garcia ended up with Adam Rodriguez, and good for her. But all through those first however many bunch of seasons, Morgan and Garcia were the bomb.
Yes.
They were the best part of the whole show. They were funny. They were so cute, and I so wanted her to be his baby girl for real.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you.
He married some other girl. Who knows?
Because look, here's
she was
another
with
thing.
Xander for a minute.
Yeah, she was with Xander for a minute. You know, Adam Rodriguez, Delco should have ended up with Callie too, but whatever. I'm not as upset about that. But I probably was at the time. But yeah, we got. Look, I know that's one of those situations that's hard, I guess, because in theory and in actuality, you want men and women to be friends and to have friendships, and that should be good and that should happen, and it doesn't a lot on television. So I mean, it's good to be able to see that sort of friendship on television too, but it just really seemed like forever, like they were end game and that they were going to end up together, and then they didn't, and that is depressing.
Yeah, it was very sad when he left the show. Or really, didn't he get married or something?
Yeah.
First of all, I was mad about that. Then he left the show entirely.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it. Of course, I wasn't watching it when he left the show either, I don't think. I hadn't been watching it religiously for a while, but still, that is not the point.
Yeah, it was just, and that was another one, I guess, because you too want her to win because
Well, she's like the nerdy girl.
She's the nerdy girl, and he's smoking hot, and you know, we need a win here,
nerdy
guys.
Girls everywhere need the Shamar Moores of the world. Well, she got that. At least she got Adam Rodriguez.
I mean, that ain't a bad consolation prize.
That's pretty good too.
Have
That's
you
pretty
seen
good.
Magic Mike? Or anything Adam Rodriguez has been in? Here's some other things Adam Rodriguez. I know a lot about Adam Rodriguez. CSI Miami, Jane the Virgin. Okay. Yeah, but I'm with you. That was.
Yep.
Just a real bummer. A real bummer.
Mm-hmm. So my last, well, really two, I guess. Really, I have two more from the same show.
From the same show. I know what they are.
And I'm pretty salty about it to this very day.
She's way more salty than I am, so I made some cheese.
This is one of those situations where the ending of the show ruined the whole show for me. And that was How I Met Your Mother. It had one of the worst endings I've ever seen in my life. So who should have ended up together? Well, first of all, Ted and the mother, who died. Another death. And Barney and Robin. Okay, why? Tell me why would you spend the entire final season of your show focused on one weekend of a wedding between two people, one of which, really all the characters grew a little bit, but especially Barney.
Yeah.
I mean, Barney was a straight up jackwagon at the beginning. And he grew to be, at the very end, you know, that's one of the lines I love is when he said our wedding's going to be legendary. Mm-hmm. And Robin was like, oh no, wait for it. And he said, I don't have to wait for it anymore. And then you're going to have them in the one episode, in 20 minutes, you're undoing your entire final season, undoing all of Barney's character arc. undoing all of Ted's final character arc where he finally gets over Robin, because Ted, frankly, is super annoying half the time. And then you're just gonna, if you knew that's how you were gonna end the show, why did you take your show in that direction? It makes no sense. And
True
it
story,
makes
bro.
me mad, obviously.
See what I did there? True story, bro.
Yeah. Barney and Robin should have been together. The mother should not have died.
Yes. I agree, because listen, I didn't watch all of How I Met Your Mother. I watched it earlier on, and then I watched the whole final season. So I wasn't quite as invested, but even watching it like I did, you could see how much Barney had come along and how much he had improved, and too, that's kind of some seventh heaven nonsense right there. Like, you gonna build all this up, do this whole thing, and then ruin it. Like, Seventh Heaven came back and did this whole series finale, and everybody watched it because it was the series finale, and then they said, well, so many people watched it, so we're going to do another season. We watched it because it was ending.
See, here's another good whine about it episode, whining episode, is we talk about TV shows that got canceled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I got some of those, like Everwood, for example.
Yeah, or better yet,
Related to Seventh Heaven.
Reunion.
There's
Don't
lots of
get us
those
started
coming
on
up.
Reunion. Yeah, but I'm with you. Just threw
That
it
was
all
trash.
away.
That was garbage. That was all the ones on my list.
Okay, I have a few more. So, this is a very, very controversial opinion. But I think Rachel should end up with Joey. I said it. Other people have said it too, but I said it. It's true. Ross was total garbage. He was a dumpster fire of a person.
That might not be inaccurate,
Oh, it's accurate.
but
And Joey was such a sweetheart, and he was there for Rachel when she was pregnant and had that baby. And Ross was a jackwagon. And I don't know enough about it to argue the point much further, but listen. Rachel and Joey should have been together.
I can't agree with you on that one, but
And you're wrong.
I did want her to end up with Ross, even though I will agree Ross was kind of garbage most of the time, but
And Rachel was the best. Rachel was my favorite female character. Chandler was my favorite male character.
yeah. Chandler
So-
and Monica were really the ones I was most invested in by the
Yeah.
end of the show, but
And then these two were just kind of minor annoyances, and one of them I know you've countered, and I didn't watch the show, so it's fine. But I thought Donna and Eric should have ended up together, because obviously, and then I also wanted Jackie and Hyde to end up together, but I know you said that Jackie and Fez were a cute couple too, so
yeah, I've seen Jackie and Fez on a lot of lists of like why, also Rachel and Joey, on
Yeah.
why they ever did that. But I always thought Jackie and Fez were kind of cute together. Because Fez, he's one of those ridiculous kind of
yeah.
characters. But I liked them. I thought they were pretty cute. And, even though I wouldn't have been mad for her to be with Hyde. I think I at least wanted her to end up with Kelso. But at that point,
Yeah.
it was kind of over.
There you go.
Top it off here at the end.
Top it off.
How much is left?
More than we thought, I think.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
Oh well, we finished the bottle. But, yeah, I just feel like that was another one of those matches that was so weird, Hyde and Jackie at first, that you think, what? But then they really did make each other better.
Yeah.
Because he reined her in and made her realize how annoying she could be sometimes with some of the stuff she
Yeah.
said, but she grew from that, and I guess all of that, it's important that they were together. I guess it's more important that they were together than that they ended up together, but, I really liked them. And then the last one I have, this is a technicality, but I'm going to say they didn't end up together, and that is Tin and Rose.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I know that Rose got a version of 10, so at least there's that, and you can't expect the doctor to be tied down, I guess. But at the same time, it was just so devastating.
Yeah, mostly to watch the doctor walk away from her and the other 10. And he seemed so sad. And then obviously when Martha was around, he was really sad about Rose a lot. So that was a really sad one, since technically she didn't end up with the doctor.
Yeah.
And mostly for the doctor. It was good for her.
Yeah. Worked out for Rose.
Not for him.
Yeah. So, and it's tough, because obviously you can't say that 11 and Rose should have been together.
No, that's the cool thing about Doctor Who is when they change doctors a lot of times. Now, with the exception of when they went from 9 to 10, because they had all the same characters.
Yeah.
Except, they didn't change out. Usually, if they changed to a new doctor, they changed to a whole new. I mean, sometimes they carry over, like Claire, I guess. But she wasn't like a romantic with any of the doctors, really.
Yeah.
But when you have that kind of romantic vibe, like Rose did with the doctor, then it would have been weird, going forward with like 11.
Yeah.
But his, 11 was more about, really when I think about River being with a doctor, I think about her in 11.
Which was so weird. And I guess that was a little bit annoying too, because he married River.
Yeah.
And you just think, what? Because obviously, 10 and Rose, I mean, I know other people ship like 11 and Amy, but 10 and Rose is where it's at. And if you're not there, you're not right. You're off in time and space.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. They should have been together.
Mm-hmm.
And halfway were, but.
Yeah, but not.
Tim wasn't. Rose got Tim, but Tim didn't get Rose. And
and that was sad. So,
yeah.
Well, I guess that's it.
I guess that is it.
We've been complaining forever.
We have been, but I think I thought of one more.
What's that?
What about Jack and Janto?
Oh, yeah, because Janto died too.
Jack and Janto!
That was sad.
I just thought of that, and I don't know why.
That was sad when he died.
But it was so sad. And Jack was, finally got somebody.
Yeah, because Captain Jack's whole thing, most of the time when you see him, he's kind of
living that bachelor lifestyle.
Yeah, he's flirting with everybody, literally everyone in the universe.
And the universe.
And to see him finally fall in love was really cool, and then, of course, lost it. It's like Joss Whedon was writing Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Of course, the guy that writes Doctor Who's similar.
Stephen Moffat. Stephen Moffat and Joss Whedon are the British and American versions of each other, I guess. Yeah. Alright, well, if you enjoyed all of this whining and complaining, like and subscribe below. Mm-hmm. Have a glass of wine.
Yep.
Drink away your feelings in the short term, not as a long-term solution for your everyday problems.
And hey, complaining, actually talking about stuff and talking about it out loud, actually sometimes makes you feel better.
Exactly.
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Even though we have talked about some of it before, and I'm still salty about some of it, but
we're gonna keep being salty. Let's just be real here. We're like Salt Bay.
Mm-hmm. Sprinkle it on.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in. Come back and see us again.
Tell your friends.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy some Aldi wine.
Cheers.
Cheers. I can't reach the camera.
We can't. No. Or will.
It was a nice thought.